Although checkers is seen as a simple game, it does come with some variance to it. Even if it's just the number of pieces used or the number of squares found upon the board, these still count as variations to the game, and thus an alternate version of how to go about playing. Greetings and welcome back to Checkpoint Gaming, Checkers. With this episode, we will be going over some variants to the game. We're sure that there are more variants to this game than what we list here, so if you would like us to cover additional versions of the game, please let us know and we'd do what we can to address them. And if you have any additional information pertaining to the variants we list here in this episode, we would like to hear them. First, we'll be looking at different starting positions for checkers. The first group we'll be looking at here operates upon an 8x8 grid board. With African American straight checkers, Bashni, Brazilian, British, Central South German, Czech, Damhaji, Eurasian, German, Makvar, Markere, North German, Pool, Russian, Swazi, and Tanzanian checkers, they share a lot in common with American checkers, with African American, North German, and Pool having black going first. When it comes to that of Swazi checkers and Tanzanian checkers, they start off with either white or black. With all of the other versions just listed, they start off with white. When it comes to Argentinian, Filipino, Italian, Jamaican, Moroccan, Mozambican, Myanmar, Portuguese, and Spanish checkers, they operate much like that of American checkers, but instead of having the light-colored square found in the lower right-hand corner, the dark-colored square is found there instead. These versions of the game also see white go first, except for Jamaican checkers, which sees black go first, while Mozambican checkers can have either the light-colored or dark-colored checkers start the game. There's also a variant to that of Spanish checkers that has the checkers positioned in the light-colored squares instead of the dark-colored squares. When it comes to that of Gothic, which is also known as Old German, and Old Turkish checkers, each player possesses 16 checkers, with said checkers completely taking up both the first and second rows found in front of the players, with both the dark and light-colored squares being used. The uncrowned checkers are also able to move in any direction forward. Similar to this, Adiga, Arab, Armenian, Greek, Ossetian Kini, Turkish, and Turkthik checkers use the same number of checkers and use the same mechanics where the dark and light-colored squares are used. And when the checkers are placed upon the board, each player is to place their respective checkers on the second and third rows found in front of them, thus leaving their first row vacant. The only difference is that with Gothic and Old Turkish checkers, the checkers found on the first row are able to move 2 squares forward over those found in the second row. The light-colored pieces in all of these variants also start first. With that of Crota and Universal checkers, each player possesses 24 pieces with them, completely taking up the first 3 rows found in front of the players. The lower right-hand corner is to be that of the light-colored square, with the light-colored checkers going first. Finally, with Siberian, Slovak, and Thai checkers, players only possess 8 pieces, which are staggered upon the first 2 rows, with the light-colored pieces starting with Thai, while the dark-colored pieces starting for the other 2 versions. The second group we'll be looking at here operates upon a 10x8 grid board. There's only one version of the game that we'll be looking at here, which is that of Spansaretti, also known as Russian 80 cells. And each player starts off with 15 pieces placed in a staggering manner upon the dark-colored squares, the lower right-hand corner being black and white going first. The third group we'll be looking at here operates upon a 10x10 grid board. With the old Polish version of the game, it sees each player possessing 15 checkers at the start of the game with the standard setup and mechanics being employed, where the light-colored checkers also start. With that of Frisian, Indonesian, International, and Laotian checkers, each player starts off with 20 checkers each, found in the standard staggering setup, and a light-colored square found in the lower right-hand corner, and the light-colored checkers starting. With the placement of the checkers, they're placed in a staggering structure, using the first 4 rows found in front of each player, and only using the dark-colored squares, with black going first. With that of Ghanaian, Ivorian, Nigerian, and Paraguayan checkers, 20 checkers are placed in a staggering manner upon the first 3 rows of the board in front of the players. The dark-colored square is found in the lower right-hand corner, and the pieces being played upon the dark-colored squares. White is to also start, although with Nigerian checkers, either color is able to start. The fourth group we'll be looking at here operate upon a 12x12 grid board. With Canadian and Malaysian Singaporean checkers, each player is given 30 checkers to start off with the checkers arranged in the standard staggering pattern, the pieces placed in the first 5 rows in front of the player, the pieces arranged upon the dark-colored squares, and the lower right-hand corner of the board being a light-colored square. The light-colored pieces also start. With Sri Lankan checkers, it is like the form of checkers just addressed, but has the lower right-hand square, consisting of the dark-colored square. Finally, with the fifth group we'll be looking at here operate upon a 14 by 14 grid board. With the South African version of the game, it sees each player be given 42 pieces with the pieces arranged in the standard staggering pattern placed into the first 6 rows in front of each player, the pieces arranged upon the dark-colored squares, and the lower right-hand corner of the board being a light-colored square. The light-colored pieces also start. Second, we'll be looking at coast-to-coast checkers. Each player gets 12 pieces with the board presented in a diamond position between the players, with the peak of the diamond found in front of each player, being known as the home space. The players are then to place their pieces into the squares while leaving the home space blank. From the home space, it goes 2, 3, and 4 rows with each square possessing a piece. With the next row, measuring from the right-hand side, it's blank, followed by the next 2 squares possessing a piece with the next 2 squares being blank. With the placement of the last piece, it is placed in the center square of the 6th row, away from the home square. With the objective of the game, it is to have one player move all of their pieces to their opponent's home space, promote them to kings, and then move all 12 kings back to their own home space. Once a king is returned to its home space, it is to be removed from the board. The first player to remove all of their pieces is deemed the winner. Like that of American checkers, black moves first, and players are to only move one checker at a time on their given turn. With the movement of a piece, it can only move one square forward, diagonally forward, or sideways. Unless it is a king, the checker is unable to move backwards towards its own home space. Although pieces are allowed to perform a jump, if a jump is available, the player isn't required to do so. It is possible for a piece to perform a jump multiple times, and a piece is able to jump over any other piece, regardless of who owns it, provided that an empty space is found in the opposite square. But if a piece is jumped, it is not removed from the board, and a piece isn't allowed to combine a move and a jump on the same turn. It's one or the other. Once a piece reaches the opposing home space, it is to be crowned, allowing it to move in any desired direction. It is to also receive a free move, allowing it to immediately move off of the opposing home space. This is due to the fact that home spaces will have to always be vacant at the end of any given turn. And third, let's look at Stack'em checkers. Each player is to receive 12 pieces with the pieces placed upon the board and the board placed between the players in the traditional manner. The objective of the game is to capture the opposing pieces in stacks until the opposing player is unable to perform a move on their turn. Like a traditional game of checkers, the dark-colored pieces are to go first with players taking turns moving one of their pieces or stacks to another space. With a stack, it is what you think it is, a stack, and it forms during the course of play and can be that of any height. The controller of any given stack is controlled by the player whose piece is found atop of said stack, with said player being the only player allowed to move said stack. With the piece movement, it is identical to that of American checkers, with the uncrowned pieces only moving diagonally forward, while the crowned pieces are able to move both diagonally forward and diagonally backwards. When the player advances their uncrowned piece to the king me row, it is to be crowned. But with that said, it is possible for a king to be demoted, thus becoming an uncrowned piece, requiring it to return to the king me row once again so that it is able to be recrowned. In regular checkers, players are required to perform a jump when the situation presents itself, and choosing which jump is to be performed if presented with multiple options. When a piece or stack of pieces performs a jump, it is to be promoted to a king once the jump has been completed, which will allow it to continue jumping by moving backwards on this same turn. There are times where a king is able to jump over the same stack twice during a single turn, allowing it to capture 2 pieces found in said stack. In Stack'em, when a piece is jumped over, it is not immediately removed from the board. Instead, the jumped piece is to be placed underneath the capturing piece once the capturing piece, along with the associated stack if applicable, performs its jump into the space found immediately beyond the captured piece. And when a stack performs a jump, it does so in its entirety. But if a stack is jumped over, then only the top piece of said stack is captured with the remaining pieces of said stack remaining behind. This rule allows for captured pieces to be freed during gameplay. If the captured checker is a king, then it is to be demoted before the captured piece is placed underneath the capturing king and its stack. With that said, only pieces are able to be buried within a stack. Whenever a player moves one of their stacks into their own king me row, they're to remove all of the opposing pieces from said stack and place them out of play. When it comes to that of determining a winner, it is the player who has captured all of the opposing player's remaining pieces found in the winner's stack, or by preventing the opposing player from moving any of their given pieces. So with that said, that is what you need to know about the variants to the game of checkers. With that taken care of, we can start talking about Albuquerque. If you liked this episode, feel free to give it a like. And if you want to stay up to date on any future episodes we upload, go ahead and subscribe. You can also support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/checkpointgaming. See you in the next episode, and happy gaming.